Saturday afternoon here at Tecolote Urban Forest Farm in San Diego. Not so sunny at the moment, but I actually love this overcast. It's been nice and cool. We're getting a little bit of rain that's much needed here in a drought environment. So really happy about that. Today what I'd like to do is talk about plant extracts and ferments for the use of fertilizers, all the biochemistry that we can extract for available nutrients, minerals, and hormones, these plant growth regulators, these stimulants found in plants. And I want to talk about a method that doesn't require any sugar, and it also doesn't smell. Growth tips of plants, which contain the most of the gibberellic acids and auxins in that plant matter, as well as those cytokinins. Those are the main plant hormones that we're looking for when we're extracting the plant juices. I love making Jadam liquid fertilizers. However, they do really stink. And I used to joke a lot about that, like, oh, just get over it. But on this here food forest, we are in a residential area, and I have to be really mindful of putting off really foul smells. And not only that, if you're handling a Jadam liquid fertilizer, it can really stain your hands, and that smell can take days and days to get off. I'm not even kidding. So your friends won't want to hang out with you, and trust me, I've had that happen. So the other method we have is a plant extract. And extract is really a very general, vague term that just means to take out. So that could be done in a number of ways. But to me, what that really means is you're filtering down with gravity or pressing out something to take out the contents of, in this case, the plants. So this next method that I'm going to demonstrate here is a really simple way of taking plant matter and essentially just pressing it out for all the juices that exist in that plant matter. And within a week or 2 weeks, you can have a really potent plant extract, or you could take it longer and ferment that into a fermented plant extract. So in Korean natural farming, there's an important concept that is really an underlying principle of the approach of Korean natural farming, and that is the nutritive cycle theory. And what this entails is essentially recognizing that plants go through certain cycles, and we harvest those plants in their respective cycle that we want to use on our crops that will be in that same respective cycle. We'll have a much different biochemistry based on the stage of that plant. So we're transferring the biochemistry from a vegetative state, a transition state, a flower state, or a fruiting state. We're taking that same biochemistry and those plant growth hormones that apply to those different cycles, right? And we're adding those to our feeding regimens in the garden, either foliar sprays in the phyllosphere up here or down in the ground in the rhizosphere. What plants are good for making these fertilizers and extracts? Well, one example would be in permaculture, these dynamic accumulators. Plants like comfrey, thistle, horsetail, nettles. They're plants with a lot of nutrients and minerals in them, mineral miners. Many of them have deep tap roots that mine minerals from the ground. They bring them up into their foliage, and they're real vigorous growers, have a lot of packed in growth hormones in them. And that fire element, you can see it represented in plants and how they grow. So when I'm looking for candidates of plants for extracts and fertilizers, I'm looking for these really vigorous growers, that signature, that sign in nature that this plant is packed full of hormones. It's pulling up all of these minerals that it mined in the ground up to the surface into its foliage, and it has that fire element very strong in it. These are the plants that I really look for, that signature in the plant itself. We're also looking for the plants that really show up in our vicinity. One of my absolute all-time favorites that we're going to demonstrate with here in this video is Purslane, which is definitely a dynamic accumulator. It is more nutrient dense than any of the greens you will find at your health food market. It's an absolutely incredible plant and herb. It also has betylene alkaloids, which gives it this beautiful red color and is a flavor and color enhancer as well. The other thing we're really looking for, especially in the situation of making an extract, are going to be plants with a high liquid content, water content in them. We're talking 60 to 80, 90% water content. So another one around here that is all over, it is used for erosion control all over California, is the ice plant. So today I'm going to use Purslane and ice plant because they've shown up here. They meet all of the qualifications that I just talked about. Ice plant is a very juicy plant. So that's what we're going for extremely high yields of our liquid extracts. I'm going to jump off of my soapbox now and get to it. So come along and let's see what we can find here. Middle row on the terrace, and we have tomatoes on our right as well as peppers, and we have blueberries and strawberries in these soil lockers on the left, along with some kind of wild weeds that have just volunteered. Volunteers are fully welcome here at Tecolote Forest Farm. We are a natural farm and recognize natural ecosystems, and don't look at weeds, as pests, things that need to be ripped out and thrown away, so to speak. They are plants that show up and present us solutions to our problems. So that is something to really keep in mind. Here we have some ice plant, and I'm squeezing out the juices. As you can see, it's very high in liquid content. This is why I'm using it for a liquid fertilizer. So I'm not too worried about really ripping out the ice plant because it's very well established here. There's plenty of it to go around. And I'm looking to establish other cover crops such as purslane, clover, other nitrogen fixers as well. Another fun fact, ice plant contains salicylic acid, which is also found in willow bark and can be used as a rooting hormone. 5 gallons of ice plant is ready to process. Not too hard to come by with the ice plant. And now we are on to purslane. I really cannot say enough good things about purslane. It is one of my all-time favorite plants and makes a nutritious pesto. Here I am breaking apart the pods for seeds and spreading them around here on the hillside, as you can see. This is so we can keep the hillside planted with purslane. We want to spread this across the hill for a cover crop and to use for fertilizers, just like we're doing here. And you can see I'm not ripping out the root of this plant. I'm just harvesting the branches and leaves of the plant to make a fertilizer, leaving it rooted in the ground. Now we're ready to process the plant material we collected, and I have a 15-gallon premium grow pot here, and you can see right there I have a 2-inch treated piece of wood with a tamper as well, a 1 foot by 1 foot tamper. This is the ice plant that I'm putting in the grow pot. So what we want to do next is use our tamper here to break down and bruise our plant material. We're not looking to absolutely pulverize this material. We're just looking to do a light bruising to get the juices flowing, to compromise the cell walls, and to activate the process here. And I like to use my little 2-inch tamper with my hand to kind of get in there into some tighter places and break it down a little bit more. But again, we're not looking to pulverize, we're just looking to compromise and bruise the plant matter. So next we have purslane to add to the mix, and we'll do the same thing. We just want to bruise and compromise the cell walls a bit. We don't want to completely pulverize and completely smash this. That's not the idea. So we're done with the big tamper and we're on to the small, just to get a little more evenly dispersed process here. So we're all done with the tamping process. As you can see, we didn't have to demolish the plant matter, we just wanted to bruise it. And now we're ready to further process. So here we have a 32-gallon standard garbage can, which our 15-gallon pot fits perfectly into. And at the bottom of our pot here, we have slits on the bottom that help for the draining of the liquids down into our garbage can for collection. So these two work perfectly together. They fit really nice like this. And now we're ready for the weights. Here I have a standard milk crate with a 25-pound weight inside of it, and I'm just going to set that on top of the plant matter. And I have some pavers I will set on top of that, which will essentially weight down the crate and put some pressure on our plant material that will slowly squeeze out the juices with gravity over the next couple weeks. And I'm going to top this with a tarp and another paver just to hold the tarp on to keep the sunlight out. 2 weeks has transpired and we are ready to lift off our paver, take off the tarp, and check to see how much extract we have collected on the bottom of our collection can. So we'll pull our crate and weights out, and next we'll pull off our grow pot. Just needs a little persuasion and shaking, pulls right off. And now we can see how much extract we collected on the bottom, which is a fair amount over the last 2 weeks. So now we're ready to siphon off our extract and store it away in jars. One gallon plus about 3 cups over here was yielded. We'll store away our jars in the refrigerator and put our pot on top of the garbage can with our weights as well as our pavers to weight down, and we will see how much more we can extract over the next week. Three weeks has transpired since we first started our extract. So let's pull off the weights, our top pot, and see what we collected here. Another gallon. After another week has transpired, we got another gallon plus some. Here we have our first extractions from 2 weeks. 1 gallon plus 3 cups. So a total of 2 gallons and 3 cups plus more to siphon off. Wow, so we have 2 gallons plus a quart jar filled, and we still have some left in the collection can. Beyond thrilled with this yield. 2.25 gallons of plant extract from 10 gallons of plant material. For longevity and preservation, I like to store mine in the refrigerator. Of course, nothing is ever wasted, so we will compost the residual biomass in our composting bins. So we've gone over theory, method, the difference between putrefaction, fermentation, separation, and extracts. And now it's time to formulate our plant extract made of Purslane and ice plant here. So you can use this as a straight fertilizer on its own by itself, but what I'm going to do is use Korean natural farming formulation here. So I'm going to use a veg formulation. I'm going to substitute fermented plant juices with my separation, my plant extract here. So they can be used at the same dilution ratio. Now, because I'm mixing this into a formula of other inputs, it's a holistic formula. So therefore, it's going to be used at homeopathic doses, which is 8 milliliters per gallon. So if you're mixing this in a formula, you can use a lot less. And if you're using it by itself, you're going to need more. So I would go with 1 ounce per gallon. If you're just solely using your extracts, start with that, see how your plants respond to that, and from there you can diagnose what your plants are communicating to you, what you're seeing, and you can adjust those ratios from there. So I'm going to do a whole separate video on formulating with Korean natural farming inputs and treatment types, but in this video I'm basically going to add our extract, plant extract of Purslane and ice plant in place of a fermented plant juice in a vegetative treatment type. Now, you can find treatment types, a list here on my website, Rogue Natural Farming, for treatment types, and also this has the core inputs and what they are and what they're used for. So you can find that information on my website. It's a little handy piece of information to have. So look for that video in the future for treatment types and formulations. But for now, I've pre-mixed all of my inputs for KNF, and I'm going to mix in this extract, this plant extract that we just did in place of a fermented plant juice at the same ratio. Here I have all my other inputs for a veg treatment type. We're going to add that to 5 gallons of water here. This is filtered water. There is no chlorine in here, so always make sure you're using dechlorinated water. So this is dissolved sea salt in here, and that's always used in every single treatment type in KNF and also in Jadam. It's used for trace mineral complex. So sea salt, you can't have enough stored on your property or your farm for use in the garden. It comes in really handy. The only other thing I'm going to add here to the formula that's not listed in a traditional Korean natural farming formula is humic acid. And this came from my worm bin. This is leachate that leached out of my worm bin. So this is really high in humic fulvic acids. It's a fungus food, and I always love to add this to the mix as well. So we'll do a video on the worm bin in the future. Watch for that. So here's our Purslane ice plant extract. We're going to use this at a ratio of 8 milliliters per gallon. I got a handy little needleless syringe that I'm going to use. This is a 10 milliliter, so I just need 4 of those. That's all you need for 5 gallons there. And again, if you're formulating this without any other inputs, you're going to want to use this, more of this. So I'd start with an ounce per gallon if you're not using anything else. But to replace an FPJ, use this at 8 milliliters per gallon. And we'll get a good mix. And we'll go apply this. I have 2 beds over here. I planted some ginger and some turmeric about a month ago, and they need some food, so we're going to go feed the ginger turmeric tropical beds. I'm going to use just a simple watering can here. So I'm going to do a root drench and just water into the soil. However, you could use this in a foliar spray as well. And foliar sprays always go a lot further to feed your plants than root drenches. So if you're trying to be conservative with your inputs, foliar feeds are a great way to go. That pretty much concludes our episode here, friends. So if you found value in this content, please like, subscribe, comment, and share with a friend that might find some value as well and help pay it forward. I really appreciate you guys, and we'll see you next time.